All right, welcome everybody. This is the core customers and value proposition live discussion, and I appreciate everyone being willing to come at a different time. We still have a few more people that I'm expecting to join, but they'll probably come in the next few minutes. So I just wanted to kick us off on at the official time. We have Katie and Salima with us from Union Kitchen. And as you know, I've been telling you in the weekly emails how amazing Union Kitchen is and the content is great. But I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves. So Katie, do you want to?
Yeah, so my name is Katie. I work on the accelerator team here at Union Kitchen. I just started around November full-time. And so I kind of help create the programmatic offerings for the accelerator, specifically for the individuals in our accelerator cohort who are coming to us with an idea for a food business, and we help them bring it to market and grow it to a national level.
Great, thank you so much. And Salima?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Salima. I'm a consultant at Union Kitchen. I've been with Union Kitchen for about 9 to 10 months now, so fairly new. I work closely with Andrew, who is the ex-instructor, and I've worked with Katie from Farm2Food for a little bit as well, so I'm happy to be back and looking forward to working with you all.
All right, great. So in terms of program updates, we really don't have much. I will do a quick preview at the end of today, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But other than that, Katie, if you want to just take it away, you're more than welcome to take the lead.
Perfect. I'm going to share my screen. Is there a way for you to enable that feature for me?
So I'm going to go ahead and make you a host.
Perfect.
So here you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. So today, like Katie mentioned, the other Katie, we're going to be diving into value proposition and core consumers. So these are going to be really instrumental for building your brand and better understanding how you position yourself in the market. But before we dive in, I would love for you guys to all type in the chat your name, your business name, and then the products that you're making, just so I can get a better sense of what kind of products we're working with. Cool. So we have a soup, wheatgrass shot. Cool. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, these will be super helpful for me to just get a better idea before we dive into the topics at hand. So these all sound like amazing products. I definitely wish I could try them. Awesome, cool. Hot sauce. Perfect. Awesome. Great. So thank you all for providing that, and feel free if you haven't put it in to put that in the chat at any time. But we'll get started on value proposition. So now that we have understood our pain point, to remind you all, a pain point is the problem that the consumer is facing. So now we are diving into another step in our cohesive concept and laying that groundwork for understanding our strategy and market. So some key topics we'll be covering today are: what is a value proposition? how to pick a solution to your pain point, and then going through an exercise on our value proposition evolution. One thing to note is a lot of the exercises in today's presentation will be interactive. So if you guys want to pull up a notebook or maybe a separate Google Doc sheet, there's going to be some activities where we're going to break away and kind of work on some things for our brand. So I just wanted to give that precursor so we're all aware of that. Awesome. So what is a value proposition? So a value proposition is how the solution you are providing solves the consumer's pain point better than any other option. So it's really how we distinguish ourselves in the market, right? So there's a lot of different products depending on the category that we're in. So we want to make sure that we are distinguishing ourselves in the market and fixing that consumer pain point better than anyone else out there. So when we think about how to determine a value proposition for our business, we need to first understand all of the possible solutions to that pain point. So there are many different ways to solve a particular pain point, right? So we're going to walk through 3 different examples to get a better idea of a pain point and all the possible solutions that could be used to fix that pain point. We do this because when we write out the solutions, we can better see all of the options for our case in the market. We can see all of the possible solutions and then choose which solution will be the most impactful and the most resonating, so we can accomplish, we can fix that consumer pain point as best as possible. So when we walk through the first example, we see that the pain point is I need to stop my finger from bleeding. So this is an obvious pain point, right? It's actually a physical pain point that we can feel. So some possible solutions for this are you can apply gauze and medical tape, you can apply a Band-Aid, you can use medical glue, a butterfly bandage, or a paper towel. These are all possible solutions. So now the next step would be trying to figure out which solution is going to be best to serve that pain point. Another example is I need to get to work. So that's a pain point. So some examples of possible solutions, even though some of these feel a little bit outlandish, are a golf cart, a motorcycle, a bicycle, a scooter, a car, and an airplane, right? So these are all the possible solutions that can help us in solving that pain point of getting to work. So now that we kind of understand the kind of the relationship between pain point and all of the possible solutions, we're going to walk through an example that will be a little bit more applicable to your business. So I need to eat healthy, but I work until 7 p.m. every day. It's a pain point. So here's a customer who wants to eat healthy, but like all of us, they have a really busy schedule. They're working a little bit late. So what are ways in which that we can solve that consumer pain point? Well, you can make a meal delivery service. You can do a meal replacement shake. You can cook and eat later, or you can make a frozen meal. So these are all possible solutions. And now it's just time to figure out which solution will best meet the needs of your core consumer. So your value proposition definitely ties into your core consumer. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's really important to understand the difference in the relationship between pain point and those possible solutions. So we are going to start our first activity. So how about your pain point? This is a great example. So in your previous session, I've heard that you've gone through your pain point of maybe that thing that your consumer is facing that will make them more eager to buy your product. So I'd like for you to take 2 to 5 minutes to write out your pain point, and then the pain point that is specific to what your consumer is facing. And then I want you to write out all of the potential solutions that could work. So this can be your product, but it can also be other competitors in the market. It could also be other options in the market as well. So a good example of this is, say that the consumer pain point is, let me try and think of one. One of the examples that we just worked with actually with our accelerator team is one of our members is making plant-based energy drinks. So the pain point that she felt in her product was that she was wanting to make an energy drink that had no jitters and no crashes. So the pain point for the consumer in that case is wanting to feel energized, but hating the jitters and hating those crashes. So some possible solutions could be taking a 5-hour energy. It could be drinking her product. It could be taking a nap. It could be plenty of different things that are solutions to that issue that she's facing. So I'll give you 2 to 5 minutes to fill this out and kind of brainstorm all the solutions to the pain point that your consumer is currently facing. Great. So is anyone feeling brave and want to share their pain point for their product and some possible solutions that they thought of?
I can go.
Perfect.
One of the pain points is with all the sickness and disease rampant through our communities right now, is how we build our immunity and how we refresh ourselves when needed. And that's one of the things I address with the drink. So the tonic is a quick drink to refresh. That's one of the things it's building. And then secondly, it's also building the immunity because it has ginger and turmeric in it. Thirdly, it's also helping with digestion later. We have foods that we're eating that we're not eating the right stuff. This will help with the digestion as well. And then it's easily accessible into the system because it's just a little shot, quick drink that you can take, and immediately you'll feel the results of it. That's the things I've addressed.
Awesome. So that's great. So I even want to push a little bit further on that idea. I think it was great that you listed off all of the benefits of your product, but I also think it's great that we can maybe build into that and see what other ways are people eating healthy and rejuvenating themselves through the market. So some other examples of how people are maybe promoting wellness and health in their diets is by cooking full-fledged meals. They can drink one of your juice shots. They can exercise. These are all possible solutions. And so when we nail those down and think of the pain point of maybe gaining weight or getting disease or diabetes or any of those risk to eating unhealthy, how do you distinguish yourself and your product to be better than all of those other solutions? So what I heard from what you were saying is that we have key ingredients like ginger, turmeric, it's fast, it's convenient. So these are things that we're gonna wanna think about to distinguish yourself and your brand in the market. So that was so great. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now that we've gone through that, we're going to move on to picking a solution. So now that we have brainstormed a few ways for us to write down a list of our solutions, it's now time to choose one, right? So how do you know which option to pursue? You may have noticed that in our 3 examples earlier of the bleeding finger, what was the other ones? I'm blinking. It was you need to get to work, and then you eat healthy, but you work until 7 p.m. So if we refer back to those, these are all solutions to the problem. And each of those solutions have a place in the market today. So you can buy a bicycle or a scooter or a car. There are meal delivery services for people who don't have time to cook. So these all solutions that are listed out all have a place in the market, but it all comes back to our core consumer and who we're aiming our business towards. So this is where our mission comes into play as well. So the solution that you choose must both achieve your mission through your core values, and then it also must represent the best possible solution for the particular pain point that you've identified. So we want to refer back to our mission and core values to make sure that it is in alignment with what we are aiming to do. And also we want to make sure that it's the best possible solution on the market. This will help really solve the consumer pain point and make them go out of their way to purchase your product. So your mission and your core values. So one example that we go over in the accelerator is an example of Patagonia. So their mission is to obviously promote sustainability, environment, and those key core understandings of protecting the earth. And so for Yves, the founder of Patagonia, he knew that plastic water bottles were getting more and more popular and convenient for consumers, but it was his mission and core values that strayed him away from ever producing plastic water bottles in his stores. So we always want to look at our possible solutions to make sure that it is in alignment with our core values and what we're aiming to do. So for this next exercise, I would love for you all to reiterate your mission and your core values. And then I want you to cross out any of the solutions that you filled out above to see if that maybe doesn't fit within your mission or your core values. So if you look back to the Patagonia example, that's a great example, right? So plastic water bottles didn't fit into the mission and alignment of Patagonia. So it's now your turn to try it out and see if we can cross out some options to make sure that the product that you are pursuing is the one that is going to best fit the needs and wants of your core consumer and their pain point. So I'll give you another 2 to 5 minutes to fill this exercise out. All right, does anyone want to share their mission, their core values, and some potential solutions that you were able to cross off? Yeah, go ahead.
Tori and Linka or Pam?
Okay, wasn't sure who you guys were talking to. So
I get to you the names when I'm on this platform. So I saw the hand raised first, and then we can go over to Pamela.
and when the screen sharing is on, and we can't see all the faces either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so tell. All right. So anyway, our product is, I guess we've started thinking about it as, it's not a hot sauce like the vinegary liquids in the bottle, and it's not about being, who's more macho and how hot you can go, but it's really more about flavor and something that that has a little bit of heat, but not so much that it's overly fiery. And we were thinking about it a lot in terms of how most people have some selection of condiments in their pantry almost all the time, things like ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise. And most of those have various pitfalls, either unhealthy ingredients or they're fattening, ingredients you don't want to eat. And so we're looking at creating something that would solve the pain point of wanting variety and taste. Could use as a condiment or use as an ingredient in cooking, but that you wouldn't have to prepare from scratch yourself, right? Like making mayonnaise from scratch is not a hard thing to do, but it takes time. And that's why people buy a jar of it. And so, we're sort of looking at that being a little quicker than having to make it from scratch yourself, but you'd be able to get the variety and taste, but that it would still be fresh because it's a refrigerated product, not a shelf product. So it would be fresh, organic, because we're using things like fresh fruits and fresh garlic and fresh turmeric, fresh peppers, most of which we are growing ourselves. It would be nutritious, not that you eat a whole lot of that sort of thing. Serving sizes are usually pretty small. So we looked at options, right? So people could go and they could get takeout when their pain point of wanting variety in their food is needs to be fixed, but that's not always healthy. And the healthier it is, usually the more expensive it is. They could buy fresh ingredients and make their own condiments from scratch, but that will take more time. They could buy dry herbs or dry ingredients and prepare something. Also would take time, and then also it's not as good as fresh. And then there are other prepared condiments that people can buy, but a lot of them have pitfalls of either additives and ingredients that people don't want, whether it's because they're fattening or they're simply unhealthy, like soy and seed oils and things like that. And so, we kind of got down to the bottom and says, well, ours is clearly the best solution.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a great example of, walking through your mission, seeing your core values, and then listing out all of those potential solutions and finding that yours is the winner in this case. So that was a great use of using this exercise to determine how you distinguish yourself in the market. So what I was hearing is that it's convenient, but it's also clean label. So no need to worry about any sort of additives or things that may be in other sauces on the market. So that's great. I actually just we do a trend article here at Union Kitchen every quarter, and the trend for this quarter was clean label. So clean label means that just using simple ingredients and as few ingredients as possible. A lot of our distributor and retailers have been looking for products like this because consumers are wanting to eat healthy and have more transparency in their food brands. So it seems like you understand your place in the market, which is really great. Awesome. Did anyone else want to share? Yeah, go ahead. I don't see the names, but.
Oh, sorry. I'm Pam.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise. So I'm the one with the chicken soup, and here on my farm, we're actually putting a commercial kitchen in, and I want to do a little farm to table eatery. So I'm kind of going with that theme with my soup. My mission is farm to table, just like grandma used to make. So I'm raising the chickens here. I've raised a lot of the herbs that go into my soup in my garden, in my personal garden, because I've never made the soup on a large scale. So, you know, I make a big pot and it goes and whatever, but I've never sold it. So I'm trying to rethink that whole situation. But I think, like, for the customer pain point, you know, you don't feel good and you don't want to necessarily go out to eat. You want, or you work late and you come home and you want a hearty meal. Those were some things, but that's easily solvable by a lot of other products. Like, you know, you could get delivery, like you said, or, I mean, there's 50 million different soups on the market. But I think where mine would stand out is that my ingredients are locally sourced. There's no factory farm raised chickens. And you know, when you buy soup right now, like if you go, you get like carrots that are the exact same size. They're little cubes in your soup. And you know that those jokers went through a factory somewhere and got cut up like that. And when you look at mine, they're all, you know, oddball size because they're fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how I could source all of my ingredients local to meet my mission.
Yeah.
And so that's the struggle right now. You know, how do you do this? It's a monster.
Totally.
I could make it on a small enough scale that I just served it at my restaurant and then canned it and sold it, you know, locally out of my store. But who wants to stop there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great mindset to have. So that's great. You were able to see that what makes you stand out on the market is that you're using local products. I believe it's Giant, the retailer here in the Northeast. They're creating a whole aisle just highlighting local brands. So we're seeing that a lot of people are wanting to find foods that are closer to where they're living. So another great place to live in the market.
So Publix here in Florida is big at promoting local foods, but I don't know beyond, I mean, there's Whole Foods and stuff like that, but I don't know, you know, I haven't really figured that part of it out yet. It's just, it's hard to put all the pieces together.
Yeah.
That's why we're in this cohort, I guess, so we can put it all together.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So we're laying the foundation for you to be able to feel confident in making these decisions. So this is all about kind of getting your bearings on your food business, understanding these core elements, because it will really help refine and make the decision making and the growth process a lot easier for you as you begin to scale. So that's great. Thank you both for sharing. Those are really insightful examples for the group. Awesome. So now that we have listed out our solutions, it's now to begin developing our value proposition evolution. So in defining our value proposition, we need to take into account the many solutions others in your category have already developed. So your solution must be an improvement and include everything consumers already love about an existing product. We're going to walk through a few examples in the following little paragraphs that help reiterate this idea a little bit more. So let's look at the bar category, for example. There's a lot of different protein bars and power bars on the market. The first is obviously Power Bar. So Power Bar launched in the 80s as a solution to on-the-go nutrition for endurance athletes. So Cliff Bar saw this, people loved the Power Bar, but it just was lacking good taste. So Cliff Bar came in, they incorporated everything consumers loved about Power Bar. It's nutrient dense and it's convenient, but they also made it taste great. So that is how Cliff Bar reintroduced the bar for consumers who were looking for it to both be nutrient dense and to taste good. Then Kind Bar came in. And Kind Bar was like, I love what Power Bar did. I like what Cliff Bar did, but now it's time to make those ingredients a little bit cleaner. So they offered the solutions of both Cliff Bar, taste, and Power Bar, nutrient dense and convenient, and made the ingredients a little bit cleaner. And then lastly, you have RX Bar, which rounded out the category with taste, nutrient-dense ingredients, convenience, and an even cleaner label than Kind Bar. So if you've ever seen an RX bar brand, you can see it in this photo actually at the bottom. They specifically just highlight all of the ingredients on the front of their packaging to highlight their transparency and the ingredients in their bar. So we can see in this description, in this box here, we can see how each brand built off one another to make the solution for that consumer pain point even better. So it started out with just nutrient dense convenient, Cliff Bar added that taste, Kind Bar added the cleaner ingredients, and then RX Bar made it really clean label. So we can see this evolution in the category with which is the bar category. And so we're gonna walk through an exercise where we're going to do this a little bit later, but I wanna reiterate the idea one more time through the veggie burger market. So you first have Boca Burger that launched in the 70s as a solution to burgers for non-meat eaters. So then Dr. Prager's incorporated everything customers loved about Boca Burgers. It was nutrient dense, convenient, and vegetarian friendly, but they made it taste even better. Then Sweet Earth came in, they offered the solutions of Dr. Prager's, the taste, and Boca Burger's nutrient dense, convenient, and vegetarian friendly option, and made it cleaner, taste better, and was less processed. And then, as we all probably know, the Beyond Burger rounded out the category and debatedly created a new category with taste, nutrient-dense ingredients, convenience, and a product so similar to meat that meat eaters love it. So we can see that every product that was coming into the market was just building on past iterations of the product, but making it better to resonate more with the consumer pain point. So if we look at Beyond Burger, you had vegetarians who were missing the flavor and the texture of meat. So Beyond Burger came in, incorporated all the things that vegetarians already loved about the market, and now they made the product even better and have opened the door to meat eaters as well. So now that we understand this value proposition evolution, we're now going to give you the turn to try it out. So we want to list out our category. So if we look back, the group that's making the hot sauces, you would be in like the condiments category. That would be your category. If you're making a frozen meal, you would be in the frozen meal category. It's that broader category to where your product fits in the market. Some questions to think about are what's the evolution of products within your category? Who started the category? Who is the current category leader? What pain points does your category address? And what was the value proposition offered that convinced consumers to buy the product? And then once we understand the category, we want to introduce your product. So what pain point are you solving for your consumer? And how are you solving it better than anyone else currently in the category? So this is going to be the key point of this exercise, right? We want to further distinguish you and your brand amongst all of the competitors out there. So I'm going to this will be a longer one. So I'll give you like 5 to 10 minutes to fill this one out. I want you guys to find 3 competitors in your category that similar to the examples that we just walked through. And I want you to highlight the pain point that they are solving for their consumer and their value proposition. So what are they bringing to the consumer and solving that pain point? Does that make any sense? Do we have any questions on this exercise? Yes, you can go right ahead, the person raising their hand.
Okay, I kind of started to do this already. And
Okay.
I'll be honest, since my product is so clean, it's basically strawberries, but
Okay.
I'm going to probably add some chocolate to it.
Okay.
It is going to be tough. It's been tough for me. I don't know how much different I can be other than try to be cheaper. I'm trying to be cheaper, less costly, because freeze-dried foods are expensive to begin with.
Yeah.
And the way I'm going to be cheaper is because it's from my own farm.
Totally.
And I'm going to go, as direct as I can, from picking the strawberry to getting it freeze-dried and packaged, and boom, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I can't offer much more than everybody else is out there is offering.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great use of your value proposition. And I think we want to refer back to that. So what I'm hearing is that you're creating your product at a really local level. So that's something that might distinguish you from other brands. You are producing your strawberries yourself. That is something really unique. I think most people in the freeze-dried fruit category are not doing that. So the fact that you are kind of owning all the aspects of your business is something that can distinguish you in the market. It doesn't necessarily need to be the product itself. It can be in any other way. For all of you, it's definitely probably going to be along the lines of being local, maybe growing your own ingredients. These are things that are going to differ yourselves and your brand in the market.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I'll give you.
Alex,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One quick thing I wanted to jump in and just say that I would be careful of thinking that your differentiator is price, because there are a lot of huge food companies that can offer a solution probably for a cheaper price. So really dig into your consumer and what their needs are. And, I think one of the videos that Union Kitchen did for us, they talked about how M&Ms were a chocolate treat, but that you could take it with you because it doesn't melt, the chocolate doesn't melt in your hand. So sometimes it can be something about the delivery of the product as well. It doesn't have to, that you can do differently to help your customer. So just want to throw that out there.
That's true, because a lot of the companies that make freeze-dried products are on such a massive scale that they are going to have a cheaper product than me. But yeah, there's only so many ways you can package freeze-dried strawberries.
I don't know. Think about all the different ways you can see coffee packages. There's like the coffee packages for the people who like hate the morning, and then there's the people who want like just good, soft, less acidic coffee, and it's all coffee beans, but there's a variety of ways in which people are selling pretty much a very similar thing. So I would really push you, Alice, to like dig in there and keep thinking.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes to work on this one because I know it might take a little bit more time. So I'll check in with you guys then.
Hi there. Can I ask a few questions, please?
Oh, Caitlin, you're muted. Oh, thank you. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so I missed a few things in the beginning. Can you just remind me again? So the brands that I'm comparing myself to, is it totally permissible for us all to have the same pain points?
Yeah, I think that can definitely be something that we run into. There's probably going to be some little things that distinguish the pain point. For example, if we go back to the bar example, the pain point for RX bar is going to look a little bit different than power bar. So the pain point that consumers were facing in the bar category was that they were looking for cleaner ingredients. And that was the main pain point. For Power Bar, they were just looking for a nutrient-dense snack on the go. So although they're the same product, they're likely going to have different pain points. It kind of depends on the products and the categories that you're working in, but there should be little differentiators that can help distinguish your brand to other ones on the market, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And then lastly, can you remind me of the value proposition, the definition, please?
Yeah, so a value proposition is how we fix our consumer's pain point. So if the pain point is our problem, then our value proposition is the solution to that problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Are any of you guys ready to share? Walk me through kind of all of your competitors and how you are distinguishing your brand in the market. Yeah, go ahead. The person with the hand raised. I can never see the names.
Is that me? I'm not sure if it is or if this is. Oh, it's me? Okay. Okay, so most of these strawberries, these freeze-dried treats and stuff like that, I've got the top 4 brands that I've been looking at, and they all start out, you know, kosher, vegan, of course, because it's like a strawberry, non-GMO, natural. They start out with being sourced around the world, which is, that's the one definite point that mine is different. Mine wouldn't be sourced from all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, like the no sugar added, excellent vitamin C source, they start out as it's a great snack. Then the most complicated they ever get is, instead of just being a perfect snack, now it's literally for emergencies and survival food and stuff like that. So they start adding all that on, which most people who freeze dry, they know that it's, you know, perfect for everyday use or literally survival. And then they say, instead of, you know, they go from being able to store it for 2 years to 25 years, and now everybody's like 30 years and more. So it depends how you package it on how long it's going to last. So, I mean, I can make all those promises if I want to. I don't have the history to prove it, though. So I don't know if I can make those claims. I don't have a 30-year history to show that my product's going to last you 30 years. I might be able to go with 1 year.
Yeah.
In storage.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for you to look back on your mission and your core values, right? So do you mind sharing with me your mission?
Oh, the mission of my company, of my strawberries?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me, but it's basically to provide a healthy, lightweight, well-preserved snack.
Perfect. Awesome. So I'm not hearing the side of maybe some of your competitors doing it for survival and using those call outs, right? So
what my main purpose is actually for camping and backpacking.
Okay. Yeah. So
I didn't put that in there.
Yeah. So if we're positioning ourselves in that way, that's a great way for us to position ourselves in the market and differentiate ourselves in the market. So by highlighting that, as the other Katie was mentioning earlier, the way that we package our product, the way we distribute our product, the way we deliver our product to consumers can vary, right? So if you are doing kind of like on the go, very convenient for camping, we'll want to think about that use case and see how we can package our product to best meet the needs of consumers. So if we, you know, talk to a bunch of campers, we're talking to them about maybe their pain points when camping, we'd find that they're just looking for convenient, nutrient-dense options. And so we can kind of alter our product to best fit the needs of what they're looking for. So that's a great way to kind of look at what other, even though your product pretty much stays the same, we can position ourselves in a way that's unique to our core consumer and the audience that we're serving.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, the other lady with her hand up, if you wanted to share yours, feel free.
Okay, I know I raised my hand, so that must be me.
Yeah.
When I looked at what the other brands were that do something with ginger and turmeric, none of them have all the ingredients that mine have, which is really nice. So the first thing was that they have either one of the ingredient that's available in my tonic. 2, they possibly lack flavor, and I know mine tastes good. 3, they were in the shot formations And this is something I'm considering too. They did, instead of just a 1-2 pack, they did a 6 or a dozen pack. So how I package them will make a big difference as well. So those are the things that I saw that were different in the brands. One, the ingredients, the fact that I have a 5 clean ingredients, so I can do a clean label, really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then 2, that they lacked flavor because they don't have the content. And 3, they might not be as refreshing as mine is. It hits both
Perfect.
The inflammation and the immunity.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that is a great use of example. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was great. Perfect. So now that we have gone through value proposition, I just kind of want to tie us out. So the value proposition is how the solution you are providing solves the consumer's pain point better than any other option on the market. So by listing all of the solutions out, we now have the option to decide, which option is best meeting the needs of that core consumer and in the market. So your solution that you package into a value proposition, so the way in which you are able to fix the problem and the pain point and deliver that through your product and your value proposition, it must be an improvement and include everything consumers already love about an existing product. So again, if you ever are confused about your product and meeting the needs of the consumers, it's a great resource to refer back to that bar example of how we can improve from other iterations of a similar product on the market. We always want to make it better and fit the needs of our core consumer. Awesome. So now that I've mentioned core consumer, we now get to jump into it a little bit more to where we can better understand our core consumer and how we can market our product and ourselves to that designated person. So far we've worked through pain points. We've talked about value propositions and how our products are solving that pain point. So in other words, we know what problem we are solving and how we are solving it. So what is that next piece in the puzzle? So we need to know who we are solving it for. So this person is going to become your core consumer and who you will anchor many of your decisions around. So obviously, when we are thinking about bringing a product to market, we can never fulfill the needs of everyone, right? So we use a core consumer to help us narrow in on the people who are actually going to purchase our products. So what is a core consumer? So the core consumer is the person that most acutely faces the pain point you've designed your product to solve. So an example I always say is I just recently graduated college. I am pretty frugal. I want to save all of my money. We have some student loan debt. So obviously, if we are doing maybe a higher price point that's a premium price, I'm not your core consumer, right? I'm willing to take the cheaper option and maybe not the most helpful at times. So I would not be your core consumer, but that's not to say that there isn't people in the market who are looking for premium products with really good ingredients that are clean. So core consumers just help us narrow in on the people who are going to be crucial for our success. So your core consumer is the person who goes out of their way to buy your product. They're desperately searching for a product to fulfill their pain point. So they're okay with trying out the product even before all of the features and the additions are worked out. They're okay with the packaging not being finalized. They truly just love your product and are willing to give it a shot. So your core consumers also allow you to make decisions. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. So people want a lot of different things, right? So some want really salty snacks, others want healthy options. To make it all complicated, some people want salty and healthy snacks. So the core consumer anchors these trade-offs and help provide us with clarity. So again, we can't be everything to everyone. So by honing in on who our core consumer is, we can get a better idea of how we can make decisions to help our brand. So this picture below right here is a great example of what I mean. So you can see on this chip brand, there are a bunch of different call outs. So it can be kind of hard for the consumer to really realize, okay, what value proposition are they trying to feed me, right? What is their core focus and who are they aiming their product towards? So this is why we only want to highlight 2 to 3 value propositions so we can make it really clear to our core consumer that this is the product for you. So when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up with packaging with an overwhelming amount of call outs. So when we talk about packaging, probably later on, we definitely want to include this information. We want to include our value propositions on our packaging in a clear and concise way that doesn't distract the consumer, but instead reinforces that this product is perfect for them. All right, so this is a great example of a core consumer walkthrough. So Snacklins, just to give you all a little preface, Snacklins is one of our brands that went through our accelerator a few years ago. So he started off, the founder, Sammy, he started off wanting to create a vegan pork rind. So he kind of accidentally fell into this crispy, really delicious snack that happened to be only 80 calories per bag. So he quickly realized that his core consumers weren't vegans. Vegans were not even looking or searching for vegan pork rinds. Instead, he was able to position himself and realize that his core consumers were just people who were looking to mindlessly munch and not gain weight. So the pain point for him was that people wanted to snack, but they were gaining weight. And so he created a product that helped solve that consumer pain point. So let's walk through an example. So here's our customer, his name's Jim, and he's the Snacklin's core consumer. So Jim loves to snack at his desk at work. He is always popping back trail mix, chips, and pretzels. Recently, he noticed he's putting on some weight. He really doesn't want to give up on snacking. He loves to mindlessly munch at work. So the pain point that Jim is facing is that he's gaining weight. So he doesn't want to gain weight, but he's also not willing to compromise and give up his love for snacking. So then Jim found Snacklin. So at only 80 calories for the whole bag, Snacklin solves Jim's pain point, right? So Jim can eat Snacklins at work. It tastes even better than other chips he normally eats, and he can continue to mindlessly munch. So how does Snacklin solve the pain point Jim was facing? Jim is able to mindlessly munch and not gain weight. So that's a perfect example of how we can fit our product to our core consumer and their needs. So now we're going to walk through a case study on Snacklins because Snacklins did a great job of pivoting their product to find their core consumer. So I'm going to read us off this case study, and then we'll walk through kind of the breaking points of what it all means. So you can see the progression of how Snacklins evolved in their understanding of what their core consumer wants through the messaging on their packaging. Let's take a deeper look at how Snacklins' core consumer evolved. So Snacklins started as a vegan, gluten-free pork rind. The assumption was that vegans wanted a pork rind. Through demoing in stores, Sammy and the Snacklins team started to realize that people were into the fact that Snacklins were 80 calories per bag. So it turns out vegans didn't want pork rinds at all, and people who eat pork rinds didn't want a vegan version. But everyone wants chips that are 80 calories for the whole bag. So after testing with customers, Snacklins learned their core consumer was turned off by the cartoon image and wanted more focus on the 80 calorie message. So that 80 calorie message is Sammy and Snacklin's value proposition. This is what distinguishes them from other chips on the market. So you can see here through his packaging iteration, this is a rough start. This was his first packaging iteration, but because of his great product, people were willing to give it a shot. He was then able to better highlight the calorie count, make it more professional into a retail setting. He tried out this cartoon character, which a lot of people thought detracted from the main call out of 80 calories per bag. So he made the ribbon so he could clearly highlight it. He then got feedback from his consumers that it was a little too rigid, that it didn't fall into kind of the brand depiction of what Snacklins stands for. Snacklins does really fun flavors to give you a little bit more context. They are bold, they make fun decisions. So in order to incorporate more of that fun flair from this packaging and the call out for 80 calories, he's now landed on this packaging iteration for right now, where you still have a cartoonish vibe, but it's really highlighting that calorie count. And we have a call out that says eat the whole bag. So it's just reinforcing that you can mindlessly munch and you won't gain weight doing so. It's really important that even though this is his most recent packaging, this isn't where the learning stops, right? So Sammy is still continuing to learn from his consumers, learning from his retail partners, learning from distributors about how he can better call out his value propositions and make sure that his product is standing out on the shelves. So one thing to note in the CPG world is we're always improving. We're always looking for ways to further highlight our brand. So understanding the importance of a core consumer, this leaves us with two questions for us to reflect on. So who is the core consumer that we are going to build towards? And how do we reach those core consumers? So this is what the remainder of the section is going to be on. So we're going to help you identify who your core consumer is, and then start brainstorming, okay, where do these core consumers shop? Is it at Whole Foods? Is it at more specialty retailers? Is it at Costco, Sam's Plus, those sorts of things we're going to narrow in so we can better address our retail strategy when we're going into market. Perfect. So defining your core consumer. We are going to define your core consumer by creating something called a buyer persona. So what is a buyer persona? So a buyer persona is a semi-fictional representation of your core consumer. So it's created based on a select kind of educated guesses, some market research about their demographics, their behaviors, their motivations, and their goals. So some things to be included in a buyer persona is their name, their gender, their occupation. Are they a parent? Will this be good for families? Are they price sensitive? Do they care if it's a high price? Will that make them less likely to purchase your product? So for me, if we look back to me as just a consumer, I am very particular about price. So I am price sensitive. So the way in which I buy is a little bit mostly dependent on price, but that isn't the case for all consumers in the market. So when figuring out our buyer persona, we just want to narrow in on who our core consumer is so that we can better target them and find them in the market. So again, reiterating of why buyer personas are helpful. So buyer personas provide structure and context for your business. So learning about your core consumer through buyer personas, including the challenges, the pain points that they face, the goals, demographic traits, and so on, we can determine your strategy from where you will sell your products and the price point and the messaging. So it kind of all ties back of understanding your core consumer, who they are. We are going to make decisions on our packaging, our product, how we brand ourselves, all based on this, because these are the people who are most likely to buy our products. So for example, say you've decided your buyer persona is a mother with 3 kids who lives in the suburbs and is budget conscious. So knowing all of this, it then wouldn't make sense to launch a high-end boutique shop in the city, right? So we are always looking back at our core consumer to make decisions that best fit us and our brand. All right, so now I'm gonna give you guys a chance to work through your buyer persona tool. So you can see here, there's a lot of different topics that are gonna be covered in your buyer persona. I want you to fill out all of these because these are really going to be crucial for you to understand your core consumer. So I'll walk you through the overview of what all of these elements include, and feel free to draft this on a Google Doc or a piece of paper, whatever works for you. But I want you to write out their preferred method of communication. So do they answer through phone? Are they on social medias? If they're younger, maybe, is it email? Is it Facebook? Where are people interacting with their friends and talking about the products that they're using, or maybe just talking about life in general? The second one is where they gain information. So is it talking to friends? Is it searching on Google? Is it word of mouth? Is it reading a book? This will all help us better target our core consumer. This is kind of the bulk of it, right? So who is their name? It can be any name. It really doesn't matter, but we always want to refer back to it. So I know for a lot of our brands, in conversations with them, we always talk about their core consumer, where we refer them to what would Bob think? What would Bob think about this product? And kind of host conversations in that manner. So we want to give them a name. We want to give them an age. It's okay to include a range with the age, but we want to make sure that it is pretty small. So we really want to narrow in on that age so we can better specify who our core consumer is. We want to concentrate on their occupation, their education level. We also want to identify maybe some other favorite food brands they have. This can be outside of your category entirely. It can be really different. We just want to paint a broader picture of where they're shopping and what products they like are. Next, it's their purchasing motivation. So you'll see here, we're going to rank the preference 1 to 4. So each one is going to be either 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you're just going to rank them on what their motivations are when they're purchasing. So is convenience the most important? If your core consumer is a mom of 3 who's always busy with practices and plays and all of those sorts of things, convenience is probably going to be one of her top ones. So again, it all points back to your core consumer. You're going to do the same ranking process on pain points. So what is that main pain point? Is it financial, productivity, or is it an actual physical pain point? And then we're also going to rank the preference 1 to 6 on claims. So which callouts will be really helpful for you and your core consumer to understand what differentiates your product from other ones. So is it non-GMO, calorie count, plant-based, keto, so on and so forth. And then lastly, we want to talk about where they shop. So is it Whole Foods? Is it Costco? Again, just further specifying our retail strategy. And then how often do they shop? And how often do they eat out? So these are all categories I would like for you to work through. I'll give you about 5 minutes to walk through this. And kind of midway through, maybe I'll zoom out so you can see the whole picture. Is that good? Can everyone see that and read it clearly? Okay, cool. So I'll give you 5 minutes to walk through this. If you have any questions, you can type it in the chat and I'll answer you all through there.
Do you think, Katie, that you could increase the size of your image on your screen?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, midway through, I'll just scroll down so we can cover all of our bases. So I'll give you like 2.5 minutes to fill out this front half and then I'll scroll down.
Okay. All right, so what do you want to say about these people? Let's see.
All right. Does anyone want to walk me through this exercise on buyer persona tool? Yeah, the person raising their hand, again, can't see names.
It appears to be two of us.
I think it's Jocelyn. Is
Okay.
that, I
Yeah.
just, her name just randomly popped up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh boy. I didn't write it down in the same order. My page kept filling
Okay,
up. So,
great.
so pardon me, I'm bouncing around a little bit.
Yeah, whichever
let's
place
see.
you want to start works.
So we're gonna name this guy Tom.
Nice.
He's 31, college educated, and he's an engineer.
Perfect. Cool.
This is loosely based on someone I know.
And that works, right? If we know that they're a core consumer, that's
Right.
That's perfect.
Favorite food brands: Lenny's cookies, Chobani yogurt, and that is it. Skinny Pop, that popcorn, you know.
Cool. Yep.
Purchasing motivation: health, taste, convenience, price.
Cool.
Pain points: I don't know, financial, physical, and product. I didn't really quite get that. Maybe
Okay.
I misunderstood, but
I can kind of help explain it maybe a little bit better, because I know when it's just written out in this format, it can be a little bit confusing. So when we're looking at our pain points, is the main pain point that the options on the market are maybe too expensive? Is that the pain point that they're facing? Is it maybe there aren't convenient options? That would be productivity. Physical,
okay.
Probably like the most rare, because it's like physical pain or like a physical pain point that they're feeling.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it could be financial and productivity.
Okay. Well, then I kind of did it right. Financial was least important. Physical came in second, and the most important one was productivity.
Perfect. Great.
Claims: protein, keto or paleo, calorie count, non-GMO, plant-based, and price didn't matter at all.
Cool.
And where am I at? Claims. And then where do they shop? I was just picking kind of the higher end, I guess, markets in my area, which are Whole Foods, Fresh Market, and Publix would be our nicer higher end grocery stores.
Yeah, and that makes sense because your core consumer isn't price sensitive, right? So if you're making a premium product, it makes sense to put them in premium retailers.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then how often do they shop, and how often do they go out?
How shopping, like, and I don't know if this is spot on, but in my head, I tend to think that health conscious people shop more frequently because you buy more fresh stuff. So I put in like 1 to 2 days a week.
Perfect.
And then eating out, like, it's I would say a weekly thing at least.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was great. And then just to round us out, what is their preferred method of communication? Is it phone? Is it social media?
I did text, phone.
Cool.
And then was there anything? Oh yeah, how do they gain information?
Yeah.
I don't know, when I thought about it, I said reading a book, because I find that most people that seem to be more conscientious or, they read a lot more than other people.
Yeah.
They tend to be readers.
Yeah, perfect. And your core consumer is educated, college educated, engineer. So reading a book is probably definitely where they are gaining their information. So I think that was great. So now that we understand our buyer persona, we're able to make our decisions based on who our core consumers are. So now that we know where they shop, how they kind of operate, we're able to make our decisions that will help us get the most success possible out of our business. So this is a really useful tool to refer back to whenever you're making decisions about expanding your product and getting it into retailers, especially. Awesome. So some reflection questions I have for you all. So I'd like for maybe one of you to tell us about your buyer persona and how you intend to use your buyer persona to make decisions. I've kind of already hinted at this, but because I can't see names for some reason while I'm presenting, if you all just want to maybe unmute yourself, and hopefully we don't interrupt each other while we're unmuting. But if someone wants to just unmute and share how this tool will be successful in helping you make decisions.
All right, this is Seta, and I think for me, it really does narrow down who you should target for your market, because you think everybody's going to do it, but then if you really clarify who your market is, it makes it easier for you to know how to advertise your marketing and who you're trying to reach. So that's what this does for me. It really does help narrow it down. Because we want to think everybody's our customer, but not everybody's our customer.
Yeah.
So the cost, the product, the need, the desire for it, those things all matter. And I think this helps to narrow that down a little bit more, so you can be a little more focused.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that, Seta. And I think like even right down to designing your labels and your packaging, you got to know who your buyer is, your customer, so that you can target that person, because they're going to be attracted to different things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, your core consumer is going to be what we base a lot of our decisions on, but all of these elements are really interconnected. So your core consumer, your mission, your core values, or those non-negotiables in your business, these are all going to be things that we connect back to and make our decisions based on it. So that's awesome that this was able to provide maybe a little bit more clarity on who your core consumer was and how you're going to make decisions. So that's great. Did anyone have an experience of any of the details in your buyer persona? Were those maybe contradicting with your earlier assumptions on your pain point and your value proposition? So
yes. Yeah,
okay,
Pat
yeah.
White. I'm actually kind of put into a paralysis, whereas I feel like perhaps nobody's ever going to buy me. What's my buyer persona? Because when I first started making my meringues, I have this wonderful little, sweet little meringue, vanilla. And then and my nurses love it. The paramedics love it. And then should I create it more of a nutrient dense type thing? I started thinking, who should I make it different than the ones that are on the market? And I'm paralyzed. I don't know who my buyer persona is. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to create a market for it. So should I just even stop? I don't think it should go.
Don't stop.
Please,
Yeah.
no.
Oh my God, no, do not stop, because I will be the first one to buy your.
I'm telling you.
Girl.
Yeah, come on, Dad. Come on.
No,
Meringue
I kind of became apoplectic with this. I mean, really, and Catherine is saying, what the hell? What's going on with you?
Everything doesn't have to be healthy that we put in our mouths. Hello, I love Reese's.
But that's the neat thing.
That's the woman who makes chicken soup. Hello, Pam.
People
Oh
who
no,
go to
Pam doesn't
coffee
always. Pam likes
shops.
margaritas too. Okay, those aren't very healthy, but I like.
Men and women, but especially women who go to coffee shops or are gonna buy meringues. They go so well together.
Stressed women at the
And I was
grocery
just thinking,
store who
so
don't
I
want to eat a
give-
package of Oreos will buy meringues.
Yeah.
I'll buy your meringue.
I definitely want to jump in here.
I'm crying here. You see me crying here. And then my chickens or some bird ate my last strawberry fruit, my first strawberry fruit from a stupid tree that I planted, and it's gone.
Yeah,
Farming
strawberries
is
are
tough, Pat.
Yeah.
Farming is tough.
Farming
Strawberries.
is hell.
Hang on, Patty, really quickly. The Trader Joe's is like known for doing tons of making their decisions based on market research and market demand. That's what they do. That is their like very differentiating way in which they exist as a grocery store in the market. One of their products that they always have every time I've gone in there is meringues, vanilla and chocolate. And so there is definitely a need.
Market.
It's not, people wouldn't have it for sale, especially Trader Joe's would not have it as a consistent product year round if there wasn't a market demand. They wouldn't waste the space. The shelf space would not be wasted on that. Now, I think that going back to Katie's point about like, how do you build on that and make it better? I think that there's ways that we can do that. I'd love to brainstorm with you on it. But I don't think that you are marketless or a lost cause with your meringues or anything like that. So
I mean, they disappear, but they don't, you know, people aren't offering me money for them. They just eat them. Does that make sense?
That's your fault. Charge them suckers $3 or what? Something just even for the sample. Come on. You cannot give
all right,
up.
all right.
The only way I can think you could make them a really different, if you wanted to make them different, is make them bigger.
You said that.
Yeah,
Although I have made them with date sugar, and I did do them without the. I did make them halal the other day. So, and my friend who's Muslim really loved them. So that was.
Americans like things big.
I think that goes back to what Caitlin was saying earlier, though. You can't please everybody. You know what I mean? You can't like make one product that's going to touch every single consumer. God knows we've had restaurants for years and we think our food is great, but there's always those customers that come in and they complain about something. You know, they're not, you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So focus on what you do and do it well, and the people will come.
We brainstorm together, Pat. I promise. I will. Yeah, because I've actually been like thinking about this and how we can differentiate it. So
and I've just done the strawberry elixir, and I think of the strawberry using dehydrated strawberries. Thanks to Alice, I was just made that, and I'm thinking I'm doing strawberry meringues, and I think it's finally gotten that deliciousness that might make the meringues good. So we'll see.
Strawberry Festival starts tomorrow, you guys. Don't
really?
miss it.
Where?
It's in Plant City. It is the largest strawberry festival in the USA. It is huge.
Well, if you're going to be there a certain day, let us know.
Okay, I'll post it, but it starts tomorrow for the next like 10 days. It's huge.
It is an awesome festival. I used to live in Tampa and went there many, many times years ago.
Don't miss it.
My grandkids are down in Tampa.
You got 10 days to go. And the Beach Boys are going to be there.
Perfect.
We're getting close.
I would love to jump in and provide some feedback on what you were saying, Pat. I think it all goes back to our mission and our core values. A great example that I think can really relate to you is we have a person in our accelerator cohort right now who makes really delicious popcorn. So there are a bunch of different popcorn on the market, and it's obviously a very nutrient snack. But she doesn't really care about the nutrients and the health trends. She just wants to make truly delicious popcorn. And that is totally okay, right? So if your mission is to just create great tasting meringues, that is totally okay. A great way to differentiate yourself and your product in the market is by adding maybe unique flavors. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. There's a lot of different ways that we can alter our products to fit the needs of the consumer. It doesn't all need to be health. I know the focus these days is on health and wellness and plant-based and all of this stuff. But it's also about where the intersection is between your passion and what consumers want. That is going to be our focal point and the thing that will resonate both with our customers and make you excited to produce and make your product. So it's finding that intersection point that's going to be really key for you. And like Katie mentioned, she's happy to brainstorm with you and kind of think about how you can differentiate yourself in the market. But definitely don't give up. There is a solid place in the market for meringue, for sweet treats in general. There are people like myself included who are looking for a bunch of delicious sweet treats. So don't feel discouraged. You definitely got this.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody, Pamela, Alice.
Yeah. So I think we've covered kind of the last few reflection questions. So we're going to walk through. I know we're kind of tight on time. So I'm going to have you guys read this case study on your own, and then we're going to come back together and kind of give you an overview and walk through some reflection questions. So just to give you a little bit of a preface before you jump into the case study and read it yourselves, Compass Coffee is one of our brands. They are a local coffee shop here in DC where we are, and they have created a local chain of coffee shops in the DMV area, as well as created packaged coffee grounds and whole beans for consumers and market. So they are all over the Northeast of the US and in some really big retailers. They've had immense success and they're in our phase 4. So they are making yearly revenues of over $1 million. And it's because they were able to pivot their product to fit the needs of their core consumer. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to read this over, and then we'll meet back up to kind of discuss and tie it all together.
I can't scroll down.
My computer's doing dumb things right now, so if it seems to be trying to do something it's not supposed to, that's not me, that's my computer. It's being stupid. Just FYI.
Sounds good.
So I know that we're running over a little bit. We will be posting the recording for anyone who has a hard stop. I just wanted to, and that will include the preview that I'm going to do in a couple minutes.
Yeah, perfect. And I believe we only have one page after this, so it should be a pretty quick wrap up. So this Compass Coffee case study is a really good example of better understanding our core consumer. They thought their core consumer was this trendy hipster. Turns out it was just the day-to-day commuter. So by demoing, talking with your customers, further kind of doing some research as to who your core consumer is going to be key, so you can make the best decisions possible with your brand. Awesome. So now we will talk about how you reach your core consumer. So now that you have an idea of your core consumer, we need to know how to reach them. So we are going to take a deeper dive on the 3 main channels you can reach your core consumer. So for today, we are going to focus on retail through a distributor. So for most products, particularly frozen and refrigerated, this is where the majority of your sales will come from. This is because when you have a shelf stable product like a power bar or something of the sorts, you can sell that online, you can sell it at farmers markets, you can sell it direct to consumer. But if you have a product that needs to be frozen or refrigerated, this is going to be the best possible way for you to distribute your product. Distributors allow us as food founders to create your product and distribute it to as many retailers as possible. This will help with economies of scale and making sure that you're protecting your margins. So distributors and retailers are businesses. At the end of the day, they need to make money just like yourselves. So distributors sell products to retailers, and then retailers sell products to customers. So this is kind of how the CPG business model works, right? So you, the food founder, if you look at this table down here, you are the manufacturer. So you are selling products to distributors. Your distributors are going to be the key people that are delivering your products to retailers and across whatever region that you're focusing on. For you all, it would be Florida, and making sure that you're getting your products into retailers in this region. Your distributors will then sell that product to retailers. Retailers will then sell that product to consumers. So you and me on the day-to-day when we're grocery shopping, and then consumers will consume the products and it will solve their pain point. So that is kind of the process in which we are able to make our money. We like just giving this overview so you know how the CPG model works a little bit. So we need to sell our product to our distributors. And we'll talk about this in our pricing meeting down the road. But basically, we're going to be back planning our price to make sure that we are meeting our margins at every step of the way. So we're going to price our product at the MSRP and work backwards so we can make sure that we account for our distributor price, our retail price, and so on. So everything, again, flows through your core consumer. This is the base of how we make so many decisions, especially when we're bringing our products to market. This is going to be really valuable for you all. It all, again, ties into your mission, your core values, how your core consumer operates. These are all very interchangeable. So we all want to account for these and make sure that we are able to differentiate our products and make sure that they are what our core consumers are looking for. We want our products to be the solution to their pain point. So that concludes my presentation on value proposition and core consumer. I know we're a little bit over time, but I'm happy to stay on for about like 5 to 10 minutes to answer any questions you have. But yeah, thank you all for having me. It was great talking with you and hearing more about your products.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
All right, so I know we had some people drop off. I wanted to see who I originally had wanted to keep that original time slot for anyone who couldn't make it today. But it looks like everyone was able to make it today. I'm also happy to keep it and we together kind of dig into this stuff more and brainstorm together. Who's interested in meeting again this week? Just really quickly, it's not going to hurt my feelings, believe me, if you're good. But does anyone want that extra time? I just need to know so I can plan. Okay. I don't see anyone like jumping
I
for
do.
that. So, oh, you do?
I would love to meet Thursday if anybody's available, just to kind of pull some of these strings together. I don't know if that works.
I'm more than happy to do that. So, okay, Pamela.
Yeah,
we
I'll
will do a
meet on
deep dive.
Thursday too, just to delve out some more details.
Okay, sounds good. So I will do that. And for the few people who show up, we can do a dive together. If people are feeling frustrated, Eric, I know that you said your cookies aren't selling as much at the farmer's market right now. And if you want to talk through some of those things, we can do that during that time. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody. You can get the same Zoom information. We will be, this week, we are starting our researching brands. So you'll be going to the grocery store again. For those of you who can't go to the grocery store and need to, have me as your feet on the ground, I'm happy to help you do that. If you don't have a grocery store close by or if you're not feeling well, just let me know. Or you can also research online. It's more about looking at value propositions and price points this time when you go to the grocery store. So you have that activity. And then next week, we will be joined by Peter McKay, who is the UF Business Librarian. And he's going to show you some of the fancy pants market research that takes like thousands of dollars to get reports if you aren't within the university system. But you all through this program, through the university. So he's going to talk through that with everyone, show you an example report, I believe. So that's exciting. Depending on how long his presentation goes, we will use the rest of the time as a brainstorming session together to implement that research with your product development. So that is the plan for this next week. Does anybody have any questions before we close up for the night? All right. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you on Thursday. Otherwise, I will see you next week.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Hi, thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Hi, thanks.
Yeah.